my faith arising. I'm crawling out the trenches, holding me.
Welcome back to my channel. My name is Maresa Talbert. I'm the founder and CEO of Talbert Law Office, your favorite go-to legal resource for all things business, nonprofit, and intellectual property law. For the past few weeks, I have been introducing nonprofit-related concepts that I have found that my nonprofit clients are completely unaware of as they start or grow their nonprofit organization. And today is no different. Today, I want to introduce to some and further explain to others the concept of the fiscal sponsorship. So, no further delay, let's jump right into it. So, for those who are hearing this for the first time, a fiscal sponsor is a 501c3 public charity that agrees to act as a sponsoring organization for a nonprofit that has not yet been recognized as a 501c3. This allows the nonprofit organization that is not a 501c3 to apply for and receive grants and donations under the sponsor's tax-exempt status. Under this formal arrangement, and by formal I mean contractual agreement, donors give money to the 501c3 nonprofit sponsor, noting that these funds are to be used for a particular project. As a sponsor, you manage those funds and ensure that the donated funds, also known as restricted funds, are used for the particular purpose or project for which the funds were donated. But I'm sure you saw the thumbnail and I'm sure you're wondering, okay, so where does the revenue generating come in at? Well, as a fiscal sponsoring organization, you take a cut off the top. Cut it. Typically 5 to 10%. So you take a fixed percentage of all the donations that are collected for this particular project. Why do you take a cut off the top? I'm going to tell you. You get paid for taking responsibility as a fiduciary and managing those funds that are donated on behalf of the organization that you're sponsoring. Basically, you get paid for having tax-exempt status and they don't. Now, I just made that sound way too easy. And while this can be a revenue generator, I want to ensure that I don't oversimplify the roles and responsibilities of actually being a fiscal sponsor. There are several models that can be used in determining how a fiscal sponsorship can be arranged between two or more entities. However, to be considered a legitimate fiscal sponsor by the IRS, you as the sponsoring organization must control the funds and how they are expended. This requires that fiscal sponsors have the appropriate infrastructure to support other organizations through financial management, legal compliance, disbursement of funds, grants management, reporting, and possibly even human resources. Fiscal sponsors should also ensure that they are supporting organizations who further their tax-exempt purpose. As such, fiscal sponsors need to develop a really robust program so that they don't jeopardize their own tax-exempt status by straying too far from their mission. Keep in mind that while a fiscal sponsorship program can definitely be a win-win for the sponsoring organization and the organizations that they sponsor, there are definitely associated risks. So if you think that a fiscal sponsorship program may be right for your organization, here are 5 questions to consider. Number 1, is your organization qualified? Is your organization qualified to carry out the specific activities of the program? Is your organization qualified to carry out charitable activities in the states or jurisdictions where this project is being operated? Are you registered to fundraise as a tax-exempt entity in the applicable states? Do you have all the appropriate licenses and permits needed to manage and run this project? Number 2, does your organization have the capacity? Again, do you as a fiscal sponsor have the appropriate infrastructure? Do you have the capacity to employ individuals to work on this particular project? Do you have or need a program director? Is that program director going to be responsible for hiring and firing? If so, is your organization or program director familiar with the applicable employment laws and regulations? Number 3, Have you protected your intellectual property? Will a particular project use intellectual property of other organizations? Will other organizations use your intellectual property? Are there any risks that you or another organization that you're sponsoring might infringe on the intellectual property rights of another? Number 4, is there a potential for private annulment? What are the risks of this project offering a prohibited private benefit or excess payment to an individual or another organization? Do any directors or officers need to be disqualified from being involved with the project due to an excess benefit or conflict of interest? And number 5, are you going to be collaborating? Will this project cause you to engage in collaborations with other entities that you are not sponsoring? If so, does your organization have a policy about how collaborations work? What is permissible? What does liability look like amongst your collaborations? Is there the potential for prohibited lobbying or political activity within these collaborations? These are the kinds of questions that may arise when taking on a fiscal sponsorship program, because the fiscal sponsor is ultimately responsible for all of his fiscally sponsored projects. So again, while it can be a great source of revenue, it needs to be set up properly. If you are interested in learning more about how you can establish a fiscal sponsorship program with your organization, go ahead and schedule a consultation with Talbert Law Office. Well, that is all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and leave me your feedback in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, this is Talbert Law Office, your favorite go-to legal resource for all things business, nonprofit, and intellectual property law. I'll see you in the next video.
I done made it this far.